I was saying last year how there are certain opinions, let's say in Shulchan Aruch and other places, where people, they have an opinion. Okay, you can have your opinion. And then there's the modern day Kanoim. It's like, my Rebbe holds of this, and how dare you disagree with my Rebbe, right? The Moshe Rabbeinu Yehoshua problem. Yehoshua is sticking up for Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu told Yehoshua, Hamakanei atali. Our Kanoim always like, how dare you disagree with our Rebbe? How often does that happen? I don't know why. Get that a lot, It's like, you were pronouncing Hebrew funny. My Rebbe doesn't do that. I think he knows more than you. How come this is like a refrain? It like happens every 3 years or something like that. I was in a minyan in Florida on the second day of Passover, back in, must have been 99, whatever it was. And, it's Chutzlaritz. They don't have the Kohanic blessing every single day. They only have it on Yontif. And this minyan I was at, they didn't have a Kohen, and it's Yontif. Chaval to miss, it's only a few days a year we actually hear the priestly blessing. So it's a shame to miss out on it, right? So I went looking for a Kohen. One guy stopped me. My Rebbe says we don't do that. No, I don't know. It's not even a halach and Shulchan Aruch. And it doesn't say, if there's no Kohen around, don't go looking for a Kohen. Does it say that?
No.
Does it say go looking for a Kohen? Is it so bad if I would catch a Kohen here? Come in. He'd be like, oh, great, I get to do a mitzvah, But either way, this guy was really offended, My Rosh Yeshiva says you don't do that. I think he knows more than you. Well, I said he might, but I don't know. Rather have a mitzvah here. Okay, so every now and then happens. I say this because 2 years ago we saw something from Rabbi Avi Grossman, which I for the life of me don't understand the kanaut involved in it, which was the whole thing about what time to light your Hanukkah candles. When should you light your Hanukkah candles? Shkia, right? Who says that? Sundown. Basically with the sundown. That's what the Gemara says. That's implied in the Gemara. Who says that explicitly? Lighting im hashkia. The Rambam. Who points out that Shkia means Shkia, not Rabbeinu Tam Shkia? The Vilna Gaon. And the Vilna Gaon also points out that how much before Shkia can you light? You have half an hour. Technically, assume we don't have technology. You have half an hour. Tichle regel min ashuk. Half an hour after Shkia, no one's walking around. No point on Hanukkah candles. That's the olden days. What's the earliest time we could light Hanukkah candles? Anybody know? So the Vilna Gaon says, im hashkia, unlike in other places, means after Plag. Okay? Once it starts getting toward night. That's also the first possible early Mariv. That's also the first possible, except Shabbos, or light Shabbos candles, because if you light Shabbos candles way too early, it doesn't look like you did it for Shabbos. So the Vilna Gaon points out that anytime after Plag. And it's obvious that on Erev Shabbos, you have to light the candles before sundown, because after sundown, it's a malacha, and you're not allowed to light Hanukkah candles after sundown on Shabbos, right? So you have to light it sometime before. So when is sometime before? Can I light the Hanukkah candles? Let's say Hanukkah starts on a Friday night. Happens some years. Usually years that start on Shabbos. And there's actually a calendrical rule. Look when Rosh Hashanah is, then you'll know what day Hanukkah is. The rule is, if it's a Hasera year or a Kesidra year, then Hanukkah will be the day before Rosh Hashanah. So Rosh Hashanah this year was a Tuesday, it's Kesidra, so Hanukkah will be on a Monday. Okay, that's the rule. If it's Kesidra or Hasera, okay, that's how it goes. It's one day before. But if it's a Shlema year, what's a Shlema year? It means we're adding a day to Mar Cheshvan. So Hanukkah will be the same day of the week. Okay? So when Rosh Hashanah starts on a Monday and it's a Shlema year, so Hanukkah will start on Monday also. Okay? That's the rule. Now, you could look when Hanukkah's starting. So Hanukkah starts, if it's a Shabbos Shlema year, the year starts on a Shabbos and it's a Shlema year, you're going to have Hanukkah start on a Shabbos. So the first candle lighting will be Friday night. So when can you light those first candles? Can you light those first candles on a Friday morning? No, obviously not. So how soon before Shabbos can you light your Hanukkah candles and say the bracha and know that you're doing it right? What? Lag Mincha. There you go. So that's what the Vilna Gaon points out. Now, what does the Shulchan Aruch say about when you should light Hanukkah candles? It says, because the whole Rabbeinu Tam thing. Now, that's what proper Sephardic people do who follow Rabbi Avi Grossman in his book. So Rabbi Avi Grossman was upset that people are lighting not like the Vilna Gaons, not like the Shulchan Aruch says. You have to be lighting at seis. And he says there are even some whippersnappers out there who are trying to write books, writing me a kuntra saying, look, this and that, it should be actually at Shkia. Chas v'shalom, like who gave them permission to disagree? We saw that last year. You could read in the books There's a copy of it over there. It's really kanos, like, how dare they disagree? They're supposed to be card-carrying Sephardim like us. But then again, Rabbi Yosef is not advocating for Rabbeinu Tam's actual tzeis. He's advocating for the Vilna Gaon's tzeis, which is kind of weird. Tzeis, but not by whatever. Either way, so this is another example. What is the case we're talking about tonight? The case is the bracha of Shehechiyanu. When does one say Shehechiyanu on the lighting of the Hanukkah candles, or on Hanukkah?
Why wouldn't you say it on that?
Well, let's say you forgot. Let's say you were in such a situation whereby you didn't even see the candles. It says that someone who lights says 3 brachas. One who sees the candles themselves, he doesn't actually light, says 2 brachas. The Shehechiyanu and Shas Nisim and Shehechiyanu. And then the subsequent nights, 2 brachas or 1 bracha. Now the Rambam doesn't say, and what if he missed the first night? What if he didn't say Shehechiyanu? The Rambam's not clear on this one. But the Torah says that his father, the Rosh, wrote a tshuva saying that when he lights the second night, he's say Shehechiyanu, or Matai Sheyizkor, whatever he remembers. There's a thing in the Yalkut Yosef where it basically points out that there are achronim, starting with the Meiri. I'll read you this Meiri opinion. He says here, Hamir Atzmo Kasav, Kol Shein Bo Chiyuv Kos L'Kiddush, Ein Bo Brachas Man. Okay? You know how it says that you're supposed to say a Shehechiyanu every holiday? Mm-hmm. So the Rambam says in the laws of Kiddush, and every night of Yontif, except for the last night of Pesach, there's a Shehechiyanu thrown in, including Yom Kippur. And it's a little bit of a head scratcher because the Rambam says you're supposed to say a Shehechiyanu on Yom Kippur in the laws of Kiddush, along with the other Yontifs. But you don't say Kiddush on Yom Kippur. Mr. Rambam, how do I say the Shehechiyanu on Yom Kippur?
What should you say?
Just say it. So you just say it because the Gemara says in Eruvin, Amud Mem, that's Daf Mem, Amud Beis, that the halacha, they were actually discussing this. When do we say the bracha of Shehechiyanu on Yom Kippur? And it says whenever you want, whole day, afilu bashuk. You're walking the street on Yom Kippur, that's when you can say the bracha. On the entire day. Okay? So the Amiri felt that this only applies to biblical holidays and where you have Kiddush. Ein birkas man. L'chein Purim dome l'Chanukah, sheish bo birkas man, raka al laka v'ariyah, v'lo al etzamayom. The Amiri made an interesting distinction. The Amiri said that if it's a biblical holiday, etzem hayom, you have to say a bracha. Wow. So Yom Kippur. But for Hanukkah and Purim, it's on the mitzvah you do. So they're very gung-ho about this. They say, well, the mitzvah of Hanukkah is the candle lighting. So only at the event of candle lighting can you say the Shehechiyanu. If you missed Shehechiyanu on the first candle lighting, so do it on the second candle lighting and third candle lighting. That's what they hold. Well, you have a question? Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. So is the Meiri basically saying that if you don't have the Hanukka to light the Hanukka, if you don't have a Hanukka to light, then that's not Hanukkah? Then
you're not doing the mitzvah of the day. So and the day is basically a Yom Chol. There's going to say on the next page someone says that. So yeah, you're missing it. You need a mitzvah.
What would you say on Hallel?
So the rabbi in the shul was saying, local Dion, who's actually very smart, but I don't know, but he's really smart. He's a genius. He has a photographic memory for Talmud and things, but he's also very much. This is what Rabbi Avi Yosef said. It's like my father-in-law yelled at me for saying a bracha achrona on ice cream. Okay, I filled a cup of ice cream. Yes, I get to. When do I eat ice cream? When I have to hide it from the kids. If I ever get my hands on ice cream, I give it to the other children. But there was some time they actually offered me a cup of ice cream, and I ate it, and I said brain of fashos, and I got yelled at. Like, what are you doing? Don't you know it says in the Yalkut Yosef that ice cream is eaten so slowly that there's not a shear in there in the right zman that you can't say a bracha achrona on ice cream. I said, well, our rabbis don't hold that way. I was in New York. I was taught that. Secondly, have you ever seen how fast I can eat ice cream? Okay, I buy cones for the kids it's down in about 2 seconds or so. Okay, everybody takes longer. I do it really quickly. I don't know. I eat quickly. So I said a bracha achrona, but forget it. Don't you know that our rabbi already poskin this and that's it? How dare you disagree? So here we have. That's what he's saying. You have to. If you miss the Shehechiyanu, you're going to be saying it at the next hadlaka. But the problem is this argument is not agreed on by like the Vilna Gaon, for example. The Vilna Gaon is saying that the Gemara in Eruvin says that on Yom Kippur you say the bracha afilu bashuk, and that's the source for what the Rosh says. He doesn't use the Rosh. He says the psak is on Hanukkah matai sheyizkor. When you remember that it's Hanukkah, then you say the bracha. And the Vilna Gaon says, like it says in Eruvin, like on Yom Kippur in the Shuk, the Rambam, the Vilna Gaon equates the din of Hanukkah to that of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is not attached to any particular mitzvah. And this distinction that, well, Yom Kippur is a biblical holiday and Hanukkah is an innovation of the sages or an institution of the sages does not matter. How do I know this? How do they understand it? The way they were saying it, like the Meiri and a host of other Achronim, by the way, say like the Meiri, they say it's the mitzvah you're doing, connected to the mitzvah, not the day. But the way the Vilna Gaon has it, look at Hallel, for example. We're going to look at Hallel twice. Hallel is a mitzvah of the sages. When do I have to say Hallel according to them? The decree of saying Hallel. Holidays, the 8 days of Sukkot and the 8 days of Hanukkah, and not last 6 days of Passover. And the din of Hanukkah on Sukkot is the same din the din of Hallel on Sukkot is the same as the din of Hallel on Hanukkah. Oh, but this is a biblical holiday, and this is a rabbinic holiday. But the mitzvah to say Hallel is always a rabbinic commandment. So one din, correct? Okay. So too Shehechiyanu. Shehechiyanu is a rabbinic institution. The same sages who told us to say Hallel on Sukkot told us to say Shehechiyanu on Sukkot. And they told us to say Hallel on Hanukkah and a Shehechiyanu on Hanukkah. So the bracha is the same. Where they told you to say the bracha, it doesn't matter if it's a biblical holiday or a rabbinic holiday. It's the same din. That's what the Vilna Gaon is telling you. So you could do like the Rosh, whenever you remember. So this is something, but either way, they say you have to do some sort of mitzvah. So I said, at least grant the argument that if he missed Hanukkah candles at night, then he should say the Shehechiyanu. If you need a mitzvah of Hanukkah, Hallel is the mitzvah of Hanukkah also. Hallel is the day mitzvah. The Rambam equates them. The Rambam says that what is the Hallel of Purim? Megillah. So by day we read the Megillah on Purim, and by Hanukkah we say Hallel. They're the same din. The brachas. This is a section from Tanakh. This is a section from Tanakh. That's the Hallel. And on Hanukkah, instead of reading the Megillah at night, we have candle lighting. They're both pursuing Nisa, by the way. Okay, so I don't see the difference. If Hanukkah just has candle lighting by night and Hallel by day, and Purim has both Megillah reading by day and by night. Okay, so you could say the Shehechiyanu at both on Purim. So say Shehechiyanu at Hallel, and they don't agree that. They don't agree with that. I don't know why. At least according to their logic, that's the mitzvah.
So would they be saying that Hallel is not the main mitzvah of the holiday itself?
Yeah, which is kind of a stretch. You actually read the Rambam. The Rambam makes it clear. He says at night you light the candles, and by day you have the mitzvah of Hallel. Okay, so I think that the Rosh in his original tshuva, his logic there would say that he said Matai Sheyizkor. That's the first thing. And if you need a mitzvah, okay, if you need a mitzvah of some sort to attach the Shehechiyanu, so what's wrong with Hallel? No, it's not the candle lighting. But as that Hallel is more of the mitzvah, by the way, of Hanukkah, I would believe. It's the mitzvah, it's the day mitzvah. Remember, you're supposed to have Hallel and Hodaya. That's what Hanukkah is about. That's the main mitzvah of the day. Okay, so there you go. And you can see this tshuva there. What?
Would you say that Hallel should be read from cloth?
No. Just like Kriyat Shema, you don't have to. If it's something that people are really regular with, so you don't have to read it. The sages did not institute it be read from cloth. However, I also believe that it was, in the olden days, read from cloth. Well, here's what they used to do. What does the Rambam say? How did they used to do Hallel? What was the minhag? Minhag Pashut, based on the Talmud, by the way.
One is reading and everyone answers.
Yeah, one reads a phrase in the Hallel, and everybody responds Hallelujah, or just repeats the phrase at certain points. Okay? Actually, look, the Makbili has a good breakdown of how to say it, and actually, I had argued with him, like maybe one or two places where you have a pasuk that's a little bit longer than the others. Most psukim in Hallel have Esnach, Siluk, easily broken apart. So, like I put in the Haggadah here, there's the few tricky psukim like Ana Hashem ki ani avdecha, ani avdecha ben amathecha pitachtu l'moseirai. Right? So most people don't read this the way it's broken up by the Trop. So it's here. Here's the breakup. Ana Hashem ki ani avdecha, ani avdecha ben amathecha pitachtu l'moseirai. So there's something, no, the only break is over here. Ana Hashem ki ani avdecha, hallelujah. Ani avdecha ben amathecha, hallelujah. Pitachtu l'moseirai. I can hear that argument, but according to the Trop, it's a double-length pasuk with two pieces. Each has two pieces. Most psukim just break up like this. And I put out a YouTube video about that. So either way, in the olden days, my belief is that whoever was leading the Hallel had a cloth. The Rambam assumes, for example, that everything is read from cloth, including the Haftarahs, right?
Okay.
That's what they used to do. Why do you know? That's what you keep in. That's what your Aron has. Sifrei Torah and Sifrei Kodesh. It has all the other Nach written down. They didn't. They barely wrote down Tanakh, which wasn't on cloth. The thing that they did differently was, aside from writing down everything on cloth the right way, they also wrote Chomashim, which means not a whole Sefer Torah, but just Bereshis on its own, Shmos on its own. I've never seen one of those. Okay, a Chomesh, which became, it's spelled in Aramaic Humashim, right? Chomashim, but they spelled the Vav, and that became in Yiddish Chumash. Okay, the Kamatz Katan was written Malay as a Cholam, and it became a Shuruk and then a Kibbutz. So, and it's so they say Chumash, but that's just Yiddish. That's not the word. The correct word is Chomesh. Chomesh, a fifth, and they do that differently. So, my point is, this is, I guess, another piece of kanos over here from the rabbi, and arguing that if you basically miss Shehechiyanu, so you have to, whoever's missing Shehechiyanu has to say it next time with the candle lighting, and I respectfully disagree. Okay, and the Vilna Gaon disagrees. I remember him writing to me. He says, "Yeah, but the Vilna Gaon das Yochid." So I wrote back to him. I got the last word. I said, "Yeah, but the Vilna Gaon's always right." Okay. So there you go. Okay, questions about that? When do you say Shehechiyanu? Oh yeah. So here's an nafka mina that comes up. Now we've talked about holidays. Did you know that there are some people? The Rabbi Avi Grossman was a chief rabbi of Israel. Do you know that the chief rabbinate created new holidays?
Yes.
Yeah. There's the Yom Yerushalayim, Yom Ha'atzmaut. Do they say Shehechiyanu on those holidays?
No,
They don't.
I don't think so. I never heard it being said.
Well, how often have you attended the, what do you call it, special holiday services on Yom Ha'atzmaut and Yom Yerushalayim?
In America, every time the holidays come around.
Where were you doing it?
In Atlanta, there was a show there called the Young Israel.
Young Israel, okay. Young Israel of Atlanta, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Poco Hills or something like that?
Toco Hills.
Yeah, okay. Poco, okay.
Maybe I came late, but I never heard anybody say.
Okay, so I think I have to check this. Do you have a Renat Yisrael Center here? I'm of the feeling that I thought I saw it in what do you call it? There's a maybe we could look this up, but there are those who say you should say a Shehechiyanu just on the Etzem Yom Ha'atzmaut. According to the opinion that Rabbi Avi Yosef is following here, that of the Meiri and others, because there's no actual mitzvah, they could say there's no mitzvah of Yom Ha'atzmaut, there's no mitzvah of Yom Yerushalayim, there's no candle lighting service, right? That when the night starts, there's no Shehechiyanu, period. And then I would say, yeah, but what about the Hallel by the day? And Rabbi Avi Yosef would say, no, I hedged my bets. I told him to say half Hallel without a bracha, which is the mitzvah, it's just a minhag. But then you say, yeah, but the Ashkenazim don't hold of that. The Ashkenazim say when there's like we mentioned before, Rabbi Tam Vilna Gaon, Ashkenazic opinion is, even on Rosh Chodesh, when you have no reason to say Hallel, if you do say Hallel, there's a bracha thereon. There's a bracha said on Hallel all the time. Likroth Hallel. That's why it's Likroth Hallel, not Ligmor. Okay, good question. But according to the Vilna Gaon's understanding, is when the sages institute a holiday, so there's a Shehechiyanu al Etzem Hayom, just like Yom Kippur. The Vilna Gaon says the din of Purim and Hanukkah is like Yom Kippur, say in the Shuk. So, Minastam, if you actually believe that Yom Ha'atzmaut is worthy of being a holiday, and other people give us flack and say, it shouldn't be, but on that assumption, so you just say Shehechiyanu when the holiday starts. I told someone that my belief is, and it was then, it still is now, that if you didn't, and you hold it, the rabbi says Yom Ha'atzmaut, you're supposed to say Hallel with the bracha, right? He's not the first one. Rabbi Rabinovich said that. Many rabbis said that. Despite the failings of the current government, the Maccabees also, their government pretty much stunk. They all went off the derech and they all led to the Roman occupation. In fact, there's many parallels between the history of the Hasmonean kingdom and our current commonwealth. So we still celebrate Hanukkah. So too, we should still be celebrating Yom Ha'atzmaut. And it's a holiday, so if you missed Shehechiyanu then, when you say Hallel in the morning with a bracha, then you say Shehechiyanu. And as I pointed out at the time, it's quite surprising in the old city of Jerusalem and on the Temple Mount, the traditionally Haredi people, you didn't think of the Yom HaAtzmaut celebrators. Yes, they fully celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut and Yom Yerushalayim with the Hallel and everything because they understand the implications. Right? Minhag the old city is to say Hallel, even among the types that you wouldn't figure they wouldn't, that they do.
Well, I'm assuming if the types that quote unquote wouldn't, they have grandfathers or great grandparents that knew what it was like.
Yeah, I told you guys a story about our first Yom Yerushalayim back in Tufshin Samech Vav. When we came here, we were just married, and there's a good story about this. What happened was we were in Katamon. Yom Yerushalayim was a Friday morning. Okay? Friday. You know where the Katamon Shtibloch is? The Katamon Shtibloch is a large Arab mansion that was taken over back in 48, and it became their shul. Okay? And Shtibloch means literally Yiddish rooms. It's a minyan factory. So they have minyan going all the time there. It's a fixture in the neighborhood. They also have the mikveh. And I would go there because my father-in-law's father-in-law lives nearby, and there are shuls all over the place, but this is the easiest one. I know I could find them in. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning, Yom Yerushalayim, and I'm sitting there in the front row of one of these rooms where they have the minyan, and the chazan starts the additional sections of Psukei D'Zimra for the holiday. Like one of the things they do is to mark the holiday, say Psukei D'Zimra like it's Hoshana Rabbah, which itself is a very recent idea. They say the longer Psukei D'Zimra. So the fellow sitting next to me, who was wearing, the Hasidish type garb, although it looked Sephardic, but you could do that too. He was suddenly confused by, going to the Lam Natseach. He's like, what happened? Mizmor L'Sodeh, but go ahead with the rest of Psukei D'Zimra. He looked confused. He turns to me, and I say to him, Yom Yerushalayim. And the guy had the look of horror on his face. I've never seen so clearly terror. And he got up and out of there in a huff. The exit was over there. He got past me, out. He's gone. Okay? So Rabbi Altshuler was sitting behind me. He knows history. He's also a tour guide. And he used to teach in the yeshivas. And he tells me that's so ironic. You know why? Because this shul was established by the families kicked out of the old city when the Jordanian Legion took over. With independence, the Jordanian Legion took over the old city of Jerusalem and massacred a lot of Jews, and other Jews fled. No more Jews left. So the survivors got together in Katamon. They took over this Arab neighborhood, and they made this large house their shul. This shul is established by survivors of the old city. Okay, this is their shul. So they're the most ones have what to celebrate for Yom Yerushalayim. They got back everything 19 years later. Okay, so that's what this shul is about. This is where you're supposed to celebrate Yom Yerushalayim. And this guy thinks he's, the frum thing is not to celebrate, not to acknowledge God and history. So you have to get out of it. Okay, ironic. There you go. So I believe that this whole implication, Rabbi Avi Yosef, is basically implying that there is no Shehechiyanu on Yom Yerushalayim because there's no mitzvah to do. I would say perhaps there is if you hold your supposed to be Hallel. You can say, yeah, but we don't hold Hallel. But we do hold the Hallel. And even then, the Vilna Gaon and others, like the Rush, were basically saying the Gemara, on Yom Kippur, the din is you say the bracha of Shehechiyanu even when you're walking in the shuk. Same thing for Hanukka. It doesn't have to be connected to the performance of any particular mitzvah.